I paid cash for my daughter's marital home. Mom, you can live here from now on. No need to be shy. Make yourself at home. Mom, you'll be sleeping in the living room from now on. Why should I? I refuse. This is my house. Mom, why are you being so dramatic? A bed's a bed, isn't it? Heartbroken, I stormed back to my old house. I thought my daughter would come after me and beg me to return. But I died there waiting, and she never came. Mom, Zixwin and I have nowhere to go. His sister-in-law got pregnant, so his mother is giving the house to her eldest son and kicking us out. She doesn't care what happens to us. I slowly opened my eyes and saw my daughter, her face streaked with tears. Wait, had I been reborn? Was this the day, 20 years ago, when my daughter and son-in-law were thrown out by his family? In my last life, they naturally moved in with me after being kicked out. They claimed living together would make it easier to care for me, but I was the one waiting on them. I woke up every day to endless chores. I even spent my savings on a home for them. And how did they repay me? During the Dragon Boat Festival, my son-in-law brought his mother, Fengying Wang, over to live with us and expected us to share a bedroom. Neither of us agreed, so we fought. I was certain my daughter and son-in-law would back me up, but they blindsided me and forced me into the living room. I wasn't surprised by my son-in-law's behavior. I wasn't his mother, after all. You're getting so dramatic in your old age. A bed's a bed, right? Mom, this is where you'll sleep from now on. Given a second chance, I was done helping my ungrateful daughter. The house belongs to your mother-in-law. She can give it to whoever she wants. Your own husband isn't objecting, so what do you expect me to do? All the resentment from my past life boiled inside me. I couldn't bring myself to be nice to her. Are you even my mother? I'm about to be homeless. Fine, don't help me. But now you're lecturing me too? Having a mom like you is the worst luck ever. I'd spoiled her rotten in my last life. She had absolutely no respect for me. Your in-laws are none of my business. If your own husband won't step up, why should I? You think having me as your mother is such bad luck? Fine, stop calling me mom. Now get out. Just you wait. When you're old, don't expect me to take care of you. She looked so vicious, as if I'd made her homeless myself. I was done arguing, so I pointed to the door and told her to leave. In my last life, when I heard Fengying Wang plan to throw her and Zixuan Li out, I panicked. I rushed over and fought with Fengying until I secured some money for the couple. But once my daughter and son-in-law got the cash, they turned around and blamed me. You were way too pushy. Making a scene over that money in front of the whole neighborhood was humiliating. This time, I wasn't doing their dirty work. They could keep pretending they were above it all. Xiaoli returned to the Li family home and refused to leave, no matter how much Fengying yelled. The couple's careers had barely begun, and with a baby in their future, they couldn't afford rent. When the eldest daughter-in-law saw them refusing to budge, she clutched her stomach and cried out in pain. Fengying panicked and tore into Xiaoli. Zixuan loved acting morally superior. He wouldn't argue with his own mother, so he just stood there like a stunned goose without saying a word. What's the use of all that yelling? You couldn't even get a house. Why bother coming back? In the end, Fengying tossed their luggage outside, locked the door, and threw them out without a penny. Their belongings were scattered everywhere. It was a sorry sight. That day, they arrived with piles of luggage, but I'd already rented the spare room to my best friend. In my last life, I spent 3 days alone at my old house, and neither of them came looking for me. Guilan found me after the stress landed me in the hospital. This time, I'd live with my best friend. My ungrateful daughter could stay far away. They pounded on the door while I sat inside with my feet up, sipping tea without a care. Once they wore themselves out, I told them through the door that I'd already rented the spare room. Mom, how could you rent it out without asking me? Throw her out right now. Zixuan and I are moving in. I calmly set down my teacup. I can't. I signed a long-term lease. I don't care if it's for 1 year or 10. Make her leave right now. If you want her out, you can pay the penalty. Hand her the money yourself. You rented it out without saying a word. This is all your fault, so you should pay. And now you expect me to cover the penalty? You're unbelievable. It's my house. I decide who lives here. If you want to throw a tantrum, go do it at the Li family home. Mom, please don't be mad at Xiaoli. She was wrong to say those things. I'll cover the penalty and pay you a little each month. Would that work? Please. His scheme couldn't have been more obvious. A little each month sounded nice, but I'd probably end up paying them every month instead. Zixuan, your own mother won't give you a room. As your mother-in-law, I have even less obligation to take you in. You're not my child, after all. The couple kept yapping outside, but I tuned them out. Guilan. He sat inside eating sunflower seeds. When I didn't respond, Xiaoli started hammering on the door. When you're sick and hurting someday, don't expect me to take care of you. Xiaoli, my back has been hurting from looking after the child. Could you take me to the hospital? Mom, aches and pains are normal when you're old. Stop making such a big deal out of it. I must have done something terrible in a past life to raise such an ungrateful child. Once I stopped helping them, my days no longer began with endless chores. At last, I could live for myself. I could sleep as late as I wanted. A week later, Guilan and I went traveling and took in the beautiful scenery. Just as we were having a wonderful time, my neighbor called. Hey, are you selling your house? I saw your daughter and son-in-law bring someone over to break the lock. It looked suspicious, so I called you right away. I shook with rage. They'd gone way too far. Galan and I rushed back as fast as we could and arrived early the next morning. My belongings were scattered all over the entrance. Xiaoli was inside, directing workers to carry out everything that remained. Breathing hard, I charged up and demanded to know who gave her the nerve to tear my home apart. Mom, why are you freaking out? Your house is basically my house anyway. I was furious. She'd fooled me once in my last life, and now she had the nerve to pull this. I didn't calm down until the officers arrived. Then I collapsed onto the floor and began wailing. Officers, please help me. I leave home for a few days, and she tries to sell the roof over my head. She's making me homeless. An officer helped me up and urged me to calm down before I made myself sick. After catching my breath, I retrieved the deed from a hidden compartment in the cabinet and handed it to the officer. My mother transferred this house to me. My daughter has no claim to it whatsoever. She emptied it and tried to sell it without my permission. If I hadn't returned in time, I'd be sleeping under a bridge. After verifying the deed, the officer told Xiaoli the house belonged solely to her mother. She had no right to sell it and had to restore everything immediately. I'm her daughter. When she dies, the house will be mine anyway. What's wrong with giving it to me early? Mind your own business. The officer's expression darkened. He ordered her to explain herself and said the matter would be handled according to the law. The officers took her in for questioning. One stayed behind to supervise as the workers returned every piece of furniture. They basically gave my home a full, deep clean. When the workers asked me for payment, I took them straight to Zixuan's workplace and told them to collect from him. Once we sell the house, what kind of new place should I buy with the money? The fantasy made him grin. Halfway through his daydream, the workers and I stormed into his office, shouting his name. Which one of you is Zixuan Li? Come pay the moving bill. Hearing them demand money in front of all his co-workers, he shot out of his chair. Then he saw me glaring at him. He thought, I'm finished. This is bad. Just as he feared, I took a deep breath and loudly told everyone how Zixuan had hired movers while I was away and tried to sell my house behind my back. Good lord. No wonder he asked me about homes for sale a few days ago. He was secretly trying to sell his mother-in-law's house to buy himself a new one. That's outrageous! The old lady's daughter is just as bad. Who helps her husband scam her own mother? Hearing the whispers around him, Zixuan hurried over and tried to drag me out of the office. I shook off his hand, clutched my chest, and spoke in a grief-stricken voice. You did it, but you're afraid people will hear about it? When your mother threw you out, I planned to buy you a new home. Instead, you went behind my back and pulled this. From now on, we're done. Never call me mom again. I turned and left. Only then did Zixuan realize I'd planned to buy them a home, and regret hit him hard. The workers immediately surrounded Zixuan and demanded payment. Take the money and get lost. Reluctantly, Zixuan pulled out some cash and handed it over. This isn't enough. You still owe us quite a bit. You're breaking our deal. Didn't we agree on this amount? The workers had expected a normal moving job, only to get yelled at instead. They were already furious. You have some nerve. Did your mother-in-law agree to sell before you hired us? You made us move everything out, haul it all back in, and clean the entire place under police supervision? You're lucky we're not charging a cleaning fee. Done arguing, the workers took his wallet, removed what they were owed, and set it down in front of him. Zixuan's boss didn't fire him because he was still good at his job, but being shunned by everyone at work was punishment enough. After being taken in, Xiaoli finally lost her arrogance. The officers gave her a stern lecture over her behavior. Since this was a dispute between mother and daughter, they released her after questioning. The moment she got home, Zixuan complained that he'd warned her to treat her mother better. Now her mom had shown up at his office and nearly cost him his job. You have the nerve to blame me? If you hadn't come up with that stupid plan, would I have been hauled in and lectured? While they fought nonstop, Galan and I relaxed at home with hot pot and TV. The freshly cleaned house felt wonderful. 2 years later, Xiaoli gave birth to a boy. I'm pregnant and I need you to look after me. If you abandon me, I swear I'll end it all. She knelt outside my door and threatened me, hoping the neighbors would call me heartless. Instead, her reputation got even worse. Everyone knew she'd tried to sell my house. They stayed polite to her face, but privately called her an ungrateful daughter. When she realized she couldn't manipulate me, she slunk away. Honey, you're mom's only child. Go make peace with her. Once she sees her grandson, she'll definitely help pay for the baby. I'm counting on you. Just talk to her. She'll agree. Then she sent Feng Ying to talk me around. That day, Guilin and I were exercising in the town square. Hey, your daughter just gave you a beautiful grandson. Come on, let's go see him at the hospital. She was family by marriage, so I couldn't easily refuse. I followed Feng Ying. The hospital was nearby, and we arrived in no time. A nurse led us into a crowded 6-bed ward. It was loud and chaotic. What a headache. In my last life, I'd spent a fortune on a private room for Xiaoli. I never blinked at the sky-high daily rate and let her stay as long as she wanted. Without my support, her husband and wonderful mother-in-law stuck her in this ward. When Zixuan saw me, his face lit up. He grabbed the baby and tried to push him into my arms. Mom, look! Doesn't he look just like you? The baby was clearly Zixuan's spitting image. He'd say anything for money. I folded my arms and turned away. I said I was too old and weak to hold him safely and didn't want to drop him. Xiaoli lay weakly in bed. After I stopped helping her for 2 years, she'd actually started treating me better. Mom, you came to see me. Please sit down, don't tire yourself out. How sweet she sounded. If I hadn't been fooled in my last life, I might have opened my wallet for her all over again. Look, Xiaoli and Zixuan have a baby now. They can't keep living in a rental, can they? As mothers, we're supposed to sacrifice for our children. It's time they had a home of their own. Feng Ying, you're absolutely right. When you gave the house to your eldest son, Zixuan and Xiaoli accused you of playing favorites. I defended you because I thought you weren't that kind of person. Then what exactly do you mean? I mean, you should buy them one. They already have a baby, yet you're still hoarding your money. What kind of grandmother does that? You've got some nerve. Ask around. Whose family makes the wife's mother buy the house? Did they have this baby for me? My money is for my retirement. None of you will touch it. Seeing me lose my temper, Zixuan rushed over, apologized repeatedly, and begged me not to be angry. I had no interest in his nonsense and hurried out of the ward. Feng Ying chased me down, grabbed my arm, and tried to push me toward the billing desk. You can't leave! Pay the hospital bill first! I refused, shook off her hand, and strode out. She chased after me and wouldn't let go. Fed up, I yanked myself free. She lost her balance and tumbled into the bushes. When she climbed out, she was covered in bits of grass. I stood my ground for the next 10 years and never supported them without limits again. They once left my young grandson at my house, betting I'd soften up and babysit. Little did they know, the sight of him made my blood boil. In my last life, I raised that boy from infancy to adulthood. Yet when I sprained my ankle and ended up in the hospital, he never visited once. When I returned home, he and Zixuan were sprawled on the couch, glued to the TV and laughing. My heart went cold. The boy I'd raised had grown up exactly like his father. I'd spoiled him from childhood. I reported an abandoned child. After investigating, the officers went to Xiaoli's workplace and took her in. She nearly lost her job over it. After that, they never tried to make me their free nanny again. They figured they could simply wait for my inheritance. Too bad I'd already made a notarized will stating that all my assets would fund my own retirement. Without me buying them a big house, the couple had to work for years before they could afford a small place. Xiaoli, my back's been hurting lately. I'm coming to stay with you for a while. Li Zixuan, ever the devoted son, happily agreed. That same day, he moved Wang Fengying into the new home. When Xiaoli got back from work, she found Wang Fengying fast asleep in her bed. Xiaoli nearly exploded. She screamed, confronted Wang Fengying, and by the time Li Zixuan returned from grocery shopping, the living room looked like a disaster zone. Wang Fengying collapsed onto the couch. The moment she saw her son, she knew she had backup. She immediately wailed, "Son, control your wife. She actually laid hands on me. You have to stand up for your mother." Seeing his mother in tears, Li Zixuan launched into a huge fight with Xiaoli and threw her out. Xiaoli wandered around, considered getting a hotel room, then decided it cost too much. She eventually ended up at my place. I felt sorry for her and let her in. This time she stayed silent, too ashamed to make a scene in front of me. Maybe she figured I wouldn't help her, and honestly, I had no plans to. No one knows a daughter better than her mother. Xiaoli was hopelessly blinded by love. In her previous life, she forgave lending all her marital savings to her older brother, so I knew she'd forgive this too. Sure enough, halfway through dinner, Li Zixuan called a few times and she went straight home. Guilan and I watched her leave. We both rolled our eyes. That daughter of yours is beyond saving. Exactly. I only understood it in this life. Last time I bought them a new home, and Wang Fengying pulled the same stunt. She moved in, shared my room, then complained that I snored too loudly. She demanded I sleep in the living room. Using her injured back as an excuse, she ordered Xiaoli around all day and even woke her up late at night. Xiaoli had to help her use the bathroom. I finally tried to throw Wang Fengying out because I couldn't stand watching Xiaoli suffer. Xiaoli rejected my help and kicked me out instead. Let's see how long she lasts this time. Once Li Zixuan and Wang Fengying saw Xiaoli come back obediently, they treated her even worse. Within days, Wang Fengying acted like she owned the place. Every week she invited her older son, Li Qiang, and his wife over for dinner, always on Xiaoli's only day off. Xiaoli got one free day a week and spent it cooking a feast for them. Her days off became more exhausting than work. Within months, the new apartment was a mess, and a foul smell filled every room with no obvious source. In less than a month, the Li family wore Xiaoli down so badly that she had dark circles under her eyes and no energy at work. She made a mistake, and the hospital fired her. She didn't receive a cent in severance. You lost your job because you were careless and incompetent. It had nothing to do with her. In her previous life, Xiaoli had been a senior doctor. This time, constant absences kept her from being promoted, and now she had been fired. After that, no hospital wanted to hire her. She stayed home every day while Wang Fengying slowly broke her down. Li Zixuan also started using overtime as an excuse to stay out all night. Given a second chance at life, I wasn't enabling them again. Guilan and I copied the younger generation and quietly gathered evidence. Xiaoli found Li Zixuan's messages and spending records. Just as I wondered how to use them to help her, Xiaoli confronted Wang Fengying. It started when Xiaoli came home with groceries and heard Wang Fengying asking Li Zixuan for money to give Li Qiang. "Your brother's restaurant needs investment. As his younger brother, you should support him." You've already given him plenty, so don't get stingy over the last bit. I haven't brought money home in ages, and Xiaoli has fought with me repeatedly. If I give my brother more, she'll lose it. Then divorce her. There are plenty of better women out there. She's unemployed now anyway. You don't need her. Only then did Xiaoli discover how much money Li Zixuan had secretly given Li Qiang. Xiaoli had paid for their apartment entirely by herself. Yet Li Zixuan always claimed he was broke. It was either gifts for his bosses or money for networking. He had endless excuses, and Xiaoli believed everyone. How could you do this to me? What am I to you? Wang Fengying's newly healed back flared up in the chaos. Li Zixuan tried to intervene, but Xiaoli glared at him, rushed into the kitchen, and grabbed a rolling pin before he stopped her. The rolling pin fell during the struggle. By the time mother and son calmed down, their world was falling apart. Xiaoli stormed into Li Qiang's restaurant. You owe me an explanation today. This isn't over until I get one. Li Qiang and his wife thought they had found free money they would never need to repay. Even after Xiaoli drove away their customers, they still acted untouchable. They called the authorities and had Xiaoli taken away. Mediation required her to cover their losses, but she developed severe depression and could not pay for the time being. After seeing how far Xiaoli had been pushed, the Li family no longer dared bully her directly. Instead, they put their heads together and came up with an awful plan. They wanted to send Xiaoli away so Li Zixuan could marry someone new. Before they could do it, I stepped in and brought her home. She said nothing and looked completely drained. I couldn't just ignore her anymore. I had to help her now. Meanwhile, just as Li Zixuan was celebrating, a court summons arrived at his home. He refused to believe it. This has to be fake. It's all a scam. But in court, our lawyer produced evidence of his affair. He froze, unable to say a word. After the hearing, the court awarded the apartment to Xiaoli. Li Zixuan snapped out of it and immediately appealed. I won't accept this. I'm appealing. The appeals court again awarded the apartment to Xiaoli and ordered him to pay her substantial compensation. How could this happen? Li Zixuan had transferred nearly all his income to his brother. Call it a loan if you want. Legally, it looked like hiding marital assets. This is all my fault. I never should have given my brother that money. When Wang Fengying learned Xiaoli had won the apartment and compensation, the shock triggered a stroke. When I came to reclaim the property, Li Zixuan still refused to leave. I knew they wouldn't move out easily, so I brought Xiaoli. The moment she saw Li Zixuan and Wang Fengying, her numb expression turned intensely emotional. She marched toward Li Zixuan. In the end, he and his mother left bruised, bitter, and unwilling. I'm too busy lately. Let our older brother take care of Mom. Brother, open the door! It's me! Open up! Li Qiang and his wife ignored him and pretended nobody was home. Li Zixuan was furious, but with nowhere else to go, he left his disabled mother outside Li Qiang's door and walked away. A neighbor saw Li Zixuan leave his mother there and began pounding on Li Qiang's door. Inside, the couple had been snoring loudly until the banging jolted them awake. Hearing the neighbor shouting outside, they hurried to open the door. This is outrageous! You left an elderly woman lying outside. If she's still here when I get back from work, I'm reporting you. The neighbor hurried off to work. Still half asleep and furious at being called out, Li Qiang and his wife took their anger out on Wang Fengying, dragged her inside, and wiped her down with warm water. Their careless treatment reminded Wang Fengying of how patiently Xiaoli had once cared for her injured back. Regret overwhelmed her, and she cried until she had to be taken to the hospital. After finding Wang Fengying outside, the neighbor quickly called the community office. Community staff and local officials soon arrived. The officials sternly criticized Li Qiang and his wife. They finally admitted it was wrong to abandon their own mother and lowered their heads in shame. They agreed to take responsibility. Li Zixuan also rushed to the hospital and wept with regret beside his unconscious mother. Mom, I'll change for good. I will never let you suffer again. I found you a new job. Take it and start over properly. I'll rebuild my life through honest work. I'll repay every cent I owe the bank and make up for my past mistakes through hard work. Far away in a psychiatric hospital, Xiaoli also reached a turning point. Nurses saw that her emotions had stabilized after counseling and effective treatment. At last, Xiaoli emerged from the darkness of depression. I was too selfish before. I'll fully commit to recovery. As long as you have hope, it's never too late to begin again. Xiaoli found work in the hospital library, organizing books and cleaning the grounds. She also encouraged other patients with depression, using her story to help them keep going. When I learned she was improving, I didn't visit. I quietly paid money into her hospital account instead. I had fulfilled my most basic duty as her mother. From there, she had to walk her own path. At school, patient guidance from his teachers helped Li Jun slowly overcome his arrogant, aggressive behavior. I'll study hard and make sure Mom and Dad have a good life. After school, he helped his father at the logistics company, and their bond grew through working together. Their whole family was going through a painful transformation. Compared with them, Guilan and I enjoyed a bright, peaceful retirement. We joined the community Tai Chi group and breathed fresh air in the square every morning. Using money from selling the house and my generous pension, I donated books to local children whose parents worked far from home. Their smiles gave me a satisfaction I had never known. You did something truly wonderful. This is the real you. We rented a small house with a yard outside the city and filled it with organic vegetables. Most days, we ate healthy food we had grown ourselves. Even my long-time high blood pressure stabilized. In our free time, we invited other older women who lived alone to drink tea and chat in the yard. As we shared everyday stories, I remembered the previous life in which endless housework destroyed me. It made me treasure my freedom and independence even more. Only by loving yourself and sharing that love with others can you find real meaning in a long life. After mediation and legal education, Li Chang finally changed and began repaying his debts. He took an honest kitchen job and split every hard-earned paycheck, half for debt, half for his mother's medical care and nutrition. Wang Fengying received free rehabilitation therapy at the hospital. Though bedridden, she was mentally much better and finally watched her two sons stop fighting each other. Together, they cared for her faithfully at her bedside. Thank you, my boys. Your mother can finally rest easy. 6 months later, Wang Fengying passed peacefully in her sleep, ending a life shaped by prejudice and selfishness. She felt no pain and left no unfinished regrets. She had seen hope that the family was returning to the right path. Li Zixuan and Li Qiang arranged a simple funeral without wasting money or pushing responsibility onto each other. From now on, we'll live honestly and keep our lives on track. Xiaoli kept improving. After an evaluation, doctors approved her discharge. Community staff found her a caregiver job at a non-profit nursing home where she could use her medical training. I'll put my heart into caring for the residents. Helping people makes me happy. She fed the residents on time, helped them bathe and change, and told them stories in a gentle voice. That young woman has a truly kind heart. She's one of a kind. By caring for others, Xiaoli rediscovered herself and found purpose. With her first month's wages, she bought Li Jun new school supplies and several good books. Mom, I promise I'll get into college. Looking at her now mature son and her own new beginning, Xiaoli knew every hardship had been worth it. Son, all I want is for you to grow up healthy. Don't push yourself too hard. Li Zixuan worked relentlessly at the logistics company, always volunteering for the heaviest loads. Everyone assumed the former office worker had been spoiled his whole life. They expected him to quit within days and run away embarrassed. I can't lose. I have to keep going. There's nothing I can't do. You've worked hard lately. Starting today, you're the team leader. The first thing he did with his bonus was go to the bank and catch up on his guaranteed loan payments. As the debt shrank, honest work brought stability. On days off, he picked Li Jun up from school. Father and son would share a steaming bowl of noodles by the roadside. Son, believe me, our life will only get better. If this family stays united and walks the right path, no obstacle is too big and no debt is impossible to repay. I'll study hard and never disappoint Mom and Dad. They're working themselves exhausted to pay the debt, so I can't waste my life anymore. Every morning, Li Jun was first in the classroom to study, and every night he was last to leave. He asked teachers whenever he struggled and even tutored classmates who were falling behind. His transformation earned the respect of teachers and classmates. Everyone welcomed him as a friend. At finals, Li Jun ranked first in his grade and won a scholarship. I wasted time when I was immature. Now I understand how hard my parents work. If you stay grounded and work hard, results will come. His honesty and determination deeply moved everyone, and the room erupted in applause. He also spent weekends volunteering at a community nursing home. He chatted with seniors living alone, helped with chores, and gave back through action, proving that it's never too late to turn your life around. Gilan and I became the neighborhood's favorite helpful aunties. Our days felt full and meaningful, and we turned our little house into a free community reading room. I used the expertise from my career to hold regular wellness and basic legal literacy talks there, all free for local residents. More seniors were inspired to look beyond narrow family disputes and care about the wider community. Instead of complaining about their children, they discussed how they could still contribute. A local TV station heard about our work and sent a reporter to produce a special feature. An older person's happiness shouldn't depend entirely on their children. Stay optimistic, dare to live for yourself, and you can still shine in your community. The program caused a sensation. Viewers flooded the comments with support. We received the city's Outstanding Volunteer Award and were named Community Role Models of the Year. Another Mid-Autumn Festival arrived. A full moon hung overhead, casting a cool silver glow as Gulan and I sat in the reading room courtyard admiring it. While we ate mooncakes, someone knocked. I opened the gate and found Li Zixuan, Xiaoli, and Li Jun standing there with bags of holiday gifts. They stood awkwardly at the door, their faces full of guilt and a longing to be forgiven. Mom, we hurt you when we were immature. I've completely changed. Whenever I care for seniors with no family, I remember how hard you once tried to help me. With red eyes, Li Zixuan handed me a thick stack of repayment receipts, proving he had cleared his debts through honest work. I'll study hard and treat my elders well from now on. Seeing that they had truly changed filled me with relief. At last, my heart softened. Blood ties are hard to sever. If they sincerely chose kindness, I could release the past. We sat down to discuss how we would live from then on. Gilan hurried inside for extra bowls and chopsticks and invited them to share mooncakes and hot tea. Li Zixuan immediately took the kettle and poured tea for everyone. His movements were practiced and humble, without a trace of his old arrogance. The past was forgiven. From now on, you must support yourselves and live independently. I won't fund you anymore. Everything you have must come from your own work. Xiaoli and Li Zixuan nodded repeatedly and promised never to live off their parents again. The meal was simple, but it was the safest and most peaceful dinner I had eaten since my rebirth. Watching Li Jun thoughtfully serve everyone food, I realized that education and positive guidance really can change people. Afterward, they volunteered to wash dishes and clean the yard. They worked with laughter and energy. A once broken family finally released the past and found a new future through accountability and forgiveness. Then, another fruitful September arrived. Carrying one small bag, Li Jun boarded a train alone for a top university. Mom, Dad, I'm fine. I'm grown now and it's time for me to be independent. You don't need to see me off. Study hard, son, and use what you learned to give back someday. Each month, Xiaoli sent Li Jun the money she had carefully saved from her caregiver wages. Without vanity, comparison, or scheming, the couple lived modestly but peacefully. Li Zixuan's honesty and reliability earned him a rare promotion to regional operations manager at the logistics company. He supervised dozens of movers who, like him, had started at the bottom. He always fought for their benefits, and they affectionately called him Brother Li. That respect restored his confidence. Meanwhile, Xiaoli earned an advanced caregiving certificate and became the nursing home director's most trusted assistant. Her skill and patience comforted countless lonely seniors and brought purpose back into her own life. As Gilan and I aged, we stayed youthful in spirit. Our community work gave us a second spring. Our reading room flourished and attracted young college volunteers. Every Saturday, I hosted book discussions about literature and life. Their energy made me feel young again. Because of our contributions, the city honored us as champions of community spirit. At the ceremony, I wore an elegant qipao. I stood beneath the spotlight and accepted the heavy trophy. I hope more older adults can step beyond family expectations, discover their own worth, give their time to society, and warm the people around them with kindness. The applause thundered on. Many people cried, deeply inspired by the speech, and the video quickly went viral online. Comments called me the most inspiring grandma of the new era. 4 years passed in a flash, and Li Jun graduated near the top of his class from a leading teacher's university. With his strong resume and solid teaching skills, he could have taken a job at a prestigious high school in a major city. I'm giving up the city's better opportunities to teach back home. Big cities already have plenty of teachers. Rural children need us more. That's a wonderful decision. I support him. That's my son. Your mother and I both support you. He had truly grown up. Even his eyes looked different. Every day he rode an old bicycle through narrow lanes, visiting students who wanted to quit school and using his own story to guide those who had lost their way. Watching him work so hard filled me with pride. Meanwhile, Xiaoli reached the defining moment of her caregiving career when her medical training saved a life. One afternoon, an elderly resident choked on food and was moments from passing out. Everyone nearby froze in panic. Only Xiaoli stayed calm. She rushed forward and performed the Heimlich maneuver, repeatedly applying proper abdominal thrusts until the obstruction came out. The resident's family was overwhelmed with gratitude and offered Xiaoli a thick envelope of cash, but she politely refused it. Saving lives is why I studied medicine. I'm just glad my training was useful. The director praised her, gave her a major raise, and promoted her to head of nursing. The local paper ran the story on its front page, and the city applauded her kindness. Seeing my daughter's transformation erased the conflicts of the past. Seeing who she had become was enough for me. Over time, our neighborhood became famous for its strong community spirit. The old toxic family feuds disappeared. Mutual support and friendship filled the community. Even the once selfish Li Qiang became an honest, hard-working man and spent years clearing the restaurant's bad debts. At last, debt-free, he started over and opened a breakfast stall outside the neighborhood, selling honest, generously filled meat buns and hot, sweet soy milk. He never cut corners. From kneading dough to preparing the filling, he put genuine care into every step. Honestly, give me 2 buns, yours are the best around. Keep your money, sir. Life hasn't been easy for you either. Thank you. I made too many mistakes when I was younger. Now I want to make up for them by doing good. Watching someone once consumed by greed find peace in an ordinary life showed me the power of positive change. By then, I had turned 80, a truly gentle old woman. Yet I carried none of the gloom of old age. I still tended my little garden every day, full of energy, surrounded by my favorite peonies. When they bloomed, fragrance filled the yard. Gilan's legs were not as strong as before, but she still sat in her rocking chair at the same time every day. She listened to opera and drank tea with me. After a lifetime together, that friendship was priceless. Every evening at sunset, I sat on the stone bench in the yard and quietly looked back on my life. The suffering of my previous life had faded like a distant dream. Rebirth was never about revenge. It was about guiding lost people toward kindness and independence. In the end, honest work restored everyone's dignity and saved us all. During his years teaching at a rural elementary school, Li Jun poured his heart into the classroom. He taught more than textbooks. He helped children become honest, brave, and hopeful. Trying to live off your parents or chase shortcuts only hurts everyone. Independence and honest effort are what let you stand on your own. One orphan in his class was deeply withdrawn and insecure. Lee Jun tutored him after school, took him to museums on weekends, and bought him clothes and school supplies, caring for him like both a father and an older brother. That care finally melted the boy's defenses. Years later, he earned admission to a top middle school and hugged Lee Jun at the ceremony, sobbing with gratitude. Lee Jun was later named Rural Teacher of the Year by the Education Bureau, and his selfless work moved countless people. Watching the next generation grow in the light and carry those values forward, I knew this family had finally rewritten its fate.